before I tell you about some of the tools that I use to really get things done and then get them done quickly, I want to start by confessing that my first ebook took me an entire year to actually write. I knew what I wanted to say, and I'd set aside time each weekend to tell myself this was the weekend that I was going to get it done. But Monday rolls around, and sure enough, I've done far more procrastinating than actual writing, right? I go back to my life as a button-down worker bee, but then suddenly something happens. For 40 consecutive hours, I'm extremely productive on things that are arguably way more complex than anything I'm trying to do. So I kind of got the sense that something was wrong, right? Why was it that I could be productive for this guy, but not for myself? What was the difference between what I was doing at work and at home? And if I could figure that out, then I'd be onto something. So I started by investigating what was stopping me from getting my work done for myself, right? I figured if I could figure that one thing out, I could then extrapolate what I did right at work and maybe steal the process for myself. The problem was immediately obvious. My projects were big and undefined. So at work, projects were big, but nobody ever said, just go make a game, right? Just write a book. Sure, okay, right? It's too big, it's too vague. You don't know where to start. So when you approach a project with Agile, it's really not about pushing the whole boulder, right? You want to start with the small bits, write chapter 1. And when you're done, take a look at it and say, could I put this in front of my audience? And it's an important concept because people get caught up in this like perfect product, right? It does everything. But half of that, your audience might not need or want, right? You've wasted all that time, or worse, you get so caught up you never bother to ship, right? So Agile encourages us to think about these things as works in progress. You work on it until it's good enough to show to someone. We call that the minimum viable product, or MVP. And then you put it out there. You give it to your audience. And then once they have it, you listen to the feedback that comes in, right? What are people needing more of? What do they really like that you're already doing? Use that as the basis for the improvements that you make to the next version of the product. Okay, everyone still with me? Yes. Good. All right, so I need to think smaller to start, and then gradually improve the product over time. All right, but there's still a problem, because right now, my to-do list kind of looks like this. That's not really very manageable, right? So I'm going to introduce you to a tool that I use as a backbone for all the development that I do beyond the blog itself. It's a tool called the Scrum Board, and here it is, complete with that epic task, right? So again, we can't really work on this as it is. We're going to have to break that down, and that's step 1. Break it down into the component pieces, everything individually actionable. And once we have that done, you can see this starts to be something that we might actually be able to make some progress on, right? But it's still a little overwhelming to have all that work to do. So we're going to segregate it off and move some of that mental weight to a column we like to call the backlog. This is where you want to take your tasks, prioritize them, set in order to get them done, and then just stop thinking about it. The only thing you need to worry about is what's in to-do right now. So at the beginning of each week, grab 1 or 2 tasks out of your backlog, stick them in to-do, and that's all you're thinking about, right? So, or try to pick things that you think you can get done in about a week's time, because you really start to build momentum once you see yourself getting these done. But there's a wrong way to do it, and this is it. Taking tasks out of order because you want to avoid the hard stuff, like if you're putting together a sales page, maybe we'll do that at the end, right? Let's start with the index. That was nice and easy. So there's another improvement we can make to this, and this is the last bit here. The thing I see most often as an Agile coach is that people try to do too much at once. They never finish tasks. They've got a bunch of work in progress and nothing gets done. So when you start a task, move it to this with column, and then work on it until it's absolutely complete. Then move it over to done. And don't start anything else until that column is completely clear. Okay, so if you have a project that you've been stuck on, I encourage you guys to go back, take your time, work through MVP, work through Scrum, and then send me a link of what you've developed with it, because I'd love to see what you guys produce.